Minutes ago, something happened that defense analysts said was impossible. Iran's ballistic missiles punched through a 20 billion air defense network, the most sophisticated defensive shield ever built, and struck the beating heart of Israel's economy, Tel Aviv, the financial center that processes 70% of Israel's GDP, just went dark, not from a power outage, from a coordinated ballistic strike that shut down the entire national railway system, paralyzed the stock exchange district, and sent the message that no amount of American technology can protect what Iran has decided to destroy. This was not a symbolic strike. This was a calculated demonstration that Israel's most expensive insurance policy just failed when it mattered most. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how Iran bypassed Israel's legendary defense architecture, why the railway shutdown is far more devastating than mainstream media is reporting, and the three-stage escalation pattern that tells us this is just the beginning. Before we continue, your support keeps this analysis coming. Hit subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next, because the next 72 hours will determine whether this stays regional or goes global. Now here is what really happened. The attack began at approximately 2:47 a.m. local time. Iranian state media confirmed the launch within minutes, designating it as Wave 14 of Operation True Promise 5. The missiles were Kheibar Shekan-3, variants Iran's most advanced solid-fuel medium-range ballistic system. These are not the crude Scud derivatives Western media loves to dismiss. These are third-generation precision weapons with terminal guidance packages that cost Iran roughly $400,000 per unit to manufacture. Compare that to the interceptors Israel fired trying to stop them. Each Arrow 3 interceptor costs approximately $3 million. Each David's Sling interceptor runs $2 million. Israel's defensive response to this single wave likely burned through $40 million in interceptor inventory against maybe $6 million worth of Iranian missiles. That is a 7-to-1 cost ratio favoring the attacker. And we are going to come back to why that math is unsustainable. But first, you need to understand what these weapons can do. The Kheibar Shekan-3 stretches 12.5 meters in length with a diameter of 0.88 meters. Launch weight sits at approximately 6,800 kilos. The warhead carries between 600 and 750 kilos of high explosive enough to level a city block or penetrate hardened infrastructure. Official range is 1,800 kilometers, covering every square meter of Israeli territory from launch positions in western Iran. But range is not the headline here. The headline is the fuel type. Solid fuel means these missiles sit loaded on mobile launchers disguised as commercial trucks. They can hide in warehouses, under highway overpasses, inside industrial complexes. When the order comes, preparation time is under 10 minutes. Liquid fuel systems need hours of exposed preparation, creating vulnerability windows where satellites and surveillance can locate and destroy the launcher before it fires. Iran eliminated that problem. You cannot destroy what you cannot find, and you cannot find what looks like freight traffic on a highway. Now here is what Israeli officials are not telling you. Multiple missiles got through, not debris from interceptions. Complete warheads carrying hundreds of kilograms of explosives struck within 800 meters of Tel Aviv's central railway station. Another impacted near the Azrieli Towers, the financial district that houses Israel's stock exchange operations. The Israeli Defense Forces confirmed several impacts in the Tel Aviv metropolitan area, but refused to specify damage beyond infrastructure affected. That phrasing is deliberate, because what got hit is far more consequential than a few buildings. Israel Railways, the national operator, suspended all services nationwide within 20 minutes of the first impact. Not just Tel Aviv, nationwide. That has never happened before, not even during the 2006 Lebanon War or the 2014 Gaza conflict. The official statement cited security concerns and infrastructure inspection requirements. What they are not saying is that the Tel Aviv rail hub, which handles 60% of Israel's daily passenger traffic and 40% of freight logistics, sustained damage that cannot be quickly repaired. Let me explain why this matters more than it sounds. Israel's economy runs on the rail system connecting Tel Aviv to Haifa in the north and Beersheba in the south. This is not just passenger convenience. This is the logistics backbone that moves goods between Israel's only major port in Haifa and the commercial centers where those goods get distributed. When that system goes offline, the entire supply chain fractures. Israel imports 90% of its grain. The rail network moves that grain from port to processing facilities to distribution centers. Disruption means bread shortages. Within a week, Israel's pharmaceutical industry, a $7 billion sector, depends on rail freight to move temperature-controlled medical supplies. Disruption means hospital inventory problems within days. The tech sector, which accounts for 18% of GDP, relies on rail logistics to move components between manufacturing sites. Disruption means production delays that ripple through global supply chains. And we are not talking about a temporary halt. Railway infrastructure damage from missile strikes can take weeks to assess and months to repair depending on what got hit. If guidance systems, switching stations, or trackbed foundations sustain damage, you are looking at extended downtime. The economic cost compounds daily. Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics estimates the railway system contributes approximately $2 billion annually to GDP through direct operations and logistics efficiency. Every day it stays offline costs roughly $5.5 million in direct economic impact, plus cascading losses across sectors that depend on it. But the railway shutdown is just the visible damage. What you are not seeing on television is the psychological impact coursing through Tel Aviv's business district right now. The Azrieli Towers, Israel's financial center, sits less than 2 kilometers from confirmed impact sites. Every CEO, every fund manager, every foreign investor with operations in Tel Aviv just received the same message. Your location is no longer safe. And we are going to show you what that means for Israel's economic future. But first, you need to understand exactly how Iran defeated $20 billion worth of the most advanced air defense technology on Earth. Israel's air defense network is a layered system designed to handle every threat from short-range rockets to intercontinental ballistic missiles. At the bottom, Iron Dome handles rockets and short-range threats. In the middle, David's Sling covers medium-range missiles and cruise missiles. At the top, Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 handle long-range ballistic threats coming from outside the atmosphere. This architecture cost approximately $20 billion to develop and deploy. Funded primarily by the United States, it has been marketed as impenetrable. Tonight proved that was marketing, not reality. Iranian missiles broke through at the top layer, the one specifically designed to handle exactly this type of threat. There are 3 reasons why First Volume Iran did not fire 1 missile. They fired a salvo, potentially 12 to 15 missiles, launched in a compressed time frame. Israel's Arrow system can handle multiple targets, but there is a saturation point where the defensive. Math breaks down. Each launcher carries a limited number of interceptors. Each interceptor needs several seconds to launch. When inbound missiles arrive in rapid succession, some get through simply because there are not enough interceptors in the air at the same time. Second, the missiles themselves are designed to defeat interception. The Kheibar Shekan-3 uses a maneuverable RE entry vehicle that can adjust its trajectory during the final descent phase. This forces Israeli radar systems to constantly recalculate intercept solutions. If the missile moves unpredictably, the interceptor has to adjust mid-flight, burning fuel and potentially missing the target. Terminal velocity estimates put these warheads at Mach 7 to Mach 10 on final approach, that is over 2 km per second. The window for successful interception is measured in seconds, and any defense miscalculation means the warhead reaches its target. Third, and this is the part defense, ministries do not advertise interception rates decline under real combat conditions. In controlled tests, systems perform beautifully. In actual warfare, with electronic countermeasures, decoys, and saturation tactics, performance degrades. Israel's official interception statistics from previous conflicts show rates between 85% and 90%. That sounds impressive until you realize that in a volley of 15 missiles, even a 90% success rate means 1 or 2 warheads get through. And when each warhead carries 600 to 750 kilos of explosives, 1 hit is enough to cause catastrophic damage. Now, here's where this gets truly alarming. This attack is part of a pattern, not an isolated incident. Iran has been methodically testing and probing Israel's defensive responses for months. Each wave teaches Iran more about intercept timings, radar coverage gaps, and defensive capacity limits. Tonight's strike likely represents a graduation, a refined application of everything Iran has learned. And the railway shutdown tells us Iran achieved something far more strategic than just physical damage. They demonstrated the ability to disrupt Israel's economic infrastructure at will. Think about what that means. If Iran can shut down the railway system, what else can they hit? The power grid that keeps Tel Aviv running, the water treatment facilities that serve 4 million people, the port of Haifa that handles 80% of Israel's imports. Every one of those targets is now on the table. Israel's military response options are shrinking, not expanding. They can strike Iranian launch sites, but those are mobile systems that relocate after every launch. They can target Iranian command infrastructure, but that risks escalation to targets Israel is not prepared to defend. They can appeal to the United States for interceptor resupply, But American production capacity cannot keep pace with Iranian missile output. The economic consequences are already measurable. Israel's stock exchange, the TASE, will open tomorrow morning to a market that just watched missiles hit its neighborhood. Foreign investment in Israeli tech, already declining due to regional instability, will accelerate that decline. Insurance premiums for Israeli operations will spike. Companies with the option to relocate will start making contingency plans. And Iran knows all of this. This was not a military strike designed to destroy Israeli defenses. This was an economic strike designed to make operating in Tel Aviv increasingly untenable. The goal is not occupation. The goal is evacuation, a slow bleeding of economic activity until Tel Aviv ceases to function as Israel's commercial engine. So let me leave you with the question that Israeli defense planners are asking themselves right now. If Iran can shut down Tel Aviv's railway system with a $6 million missile strike, forcing Israel to spend $40 million defending against it, and the railway stays offline, costing $5.5 million per day, while Iran can repeat this attack weekly, how long can Israel sustain this arithmetic before the economy cracks? Wave 14 of Operation True Promise 5. Multiple ballistic missiles penetrating a $20 billion defense network, the national railway system, suspended indefinitely, the financial district within the blast radius, and Iran promising more waves until their stated objectives are met, whatever those objectives actually are, because Iran has not defined victory conditions, which means there is no clear off-ramp for de-escalation. Drop your analysis in the comments. Do you think Israel's defense strategy is sustainable? How does this end? Let me know your thoughts and make sure you are subscribed, because the next 72 hours will reveal whether this escalates further or whether back-channel diplomacy can pull both sides back from the edge. Either way, the Middle East, you knew 2 weeks ago, is gone. And what replaces it depends on decisions being made in Tel Aviv. Iran and Washington right now. I will see you in the next one.